Hello, boys and girls. It's Miss Cisco here to teach you all a skills lesson for Wednesday and Thursday. So our goals for the next 2 days are: I can read and sort words with tricky spellings for the S sound using SE and CE. I can use prepositions and adjectives to expand short sentences. And I can read with purpose and understanding and answer oral questions about key details in the text. Let's get started. So, first thing we're going to do is work on building sentences. We will review nouns and verbs to help us practice building sentences. Okay, remember, think about a noun. What is it? A noun is a person, place, or thing. Remember that? We talked about it a lot. A verb is an action word. So remember, we would circle the noun and then we'd underline the verb with a squiggly line. We'd use a squiggly line because it showed that there was motion happening, right? So when there's motion happening, when there's action happening, we know it's a verb. This girl is exercising, this girl is listening, and these students are reading. They are all performing an action. They are doing something. That's the verb. When you write, you should always strive to make your writing interesting. One way to make your writing interesting is to add adjectives to build your sentences. Adjectives are describing words. So let's look here. Look at the picture of the apple. In blue, it says red. They added the adjective red to the apple to make it more interesting. The red apple. Red is describing the apple. The sparkly notebook. Sparkly is the adjective describing the notebook. The sad girl. Sad is the adjective describing the girl. And the round balloon. Round is the adjective describing the balloon. What's another adjective we could use to describe the balloon? What color is it? Very good, it's orange. Orange is another adjective that we could use to describe the balloon, the orange balloon. Another way to build sentences is to add words called prepositions. Prepositions and phrases with prepositions add information about where something happens. This helps the reader understand and visualize what is taking place in the sentence. Adjectives and prepositions help make our writing more interesting. Let's practice building some sentences. All right, look at the pink. Gus runs. All right, so what's the noun? If you said Gus, you're correct. This sentence is about Gus. That is the noun. That's the person in this sentence. All right, what does Gus do? Gus runs. Very good. So if Gus runs, and that's what he does, the verb is what he does. So the verb is runs. Very good. So these next few sentences have prepositions and adjectives in them to help make them longer and more interesting. So Gus runs. That's a pretty short sentence, and it's kind of interesting, but do you want to know where he goes, where he runs to? So right here it says, Gus runs to school. To is a preposition that's telling you where something's happening. He's running to school. Gus runs to the bus stop. To is a preposition right here again. He's running to the bus stop. Gus runs on the track team. Okay, we're learning more about Gus, right? Since we've made our sentence longer. So on is a preposition as well, and track is an adjective. It could just say Gus runs on the team, but since it says track team, track is describing team, and that helps us know what kind of team Gus actually runs on. Let's go ahead and practice. If you want to, you can go ahead and get a pencil and paper out, and you are going to expand these two sentences and type them in the comment section of our video. So if you want to practice and put them on on your paper and then go ahead and type them up in the comments. We would love it. So the first sentence is King bakes. The second sentence is Keon plays. Let's think about how we can make those sentences more interesting. I want you to go over here and look at the picture with all the turtles on it. This says stretch a sentence. How can we stretch a sentence or make it longer and more interesting? Well, we can focus on the 5 W's that we learned about last week. Who, what, where, when, and why. So in both of these sentences, we know the who. The who is King in this one, and the who is Keon in this one. What are they doing? What is King doing? He's baking. What is Keon doing? He's playing. But we don't know where King bakes or where Keon plays. We don't know when King bakes, and we don't know when Keon plays. We don't know why King bakes, and we don't know why Keon plays. But I want you all to come up with some ideas and make these sentences longer and more interesting. Why do you think King's baking? Why do you think where do you think Keon is playing? So remember, go ahead and make those sentences longer and put them in the comments section. Now we're going to go ahead and read our story today. It is called The Band. Today's story is about how practice makes perfect, especially when it comes to playing in a band. Let's preview the spellings. So you're going to see a word here with a K-N at the beginning of it, but it's making the N sound. So you're not going to pronounce the K and K. The K-N together are working together to make the N sound. This first word is knocking. Then we have 3 different ways of spelling the S sound. The S sound like snake. Snake. I hope you can hear that. Make the S sound. When we make the S sound, it can be spelled with a C, a CE, or an SE. So right here, Grace, who all our stories are about, is spelled with a C. Spencer, Mr. Spencer, her father, is also spelled with a C. Concert is spelled with a C. Vance is spelled with a CE. Sense is spelled with a CE also. Moose is spelled with an SE. Geese is spelled with an SE. And house is spelled with an SE. Other 2-syllable words that we will see are trumpet, trombone, mister, master, and racket. Let's preview the vocabulary. We have a trumpet here and a trombone here. These are 2 instruments that people like to play in bands. If you put your mouth on the mouthpiece right there and blow, you will make some noises. And if you hit the right notes, it's going to sound great. If you don't hit the right notes, it might not sound the best. This little boy can't stand what he's hearing in his ears, and that's because it's making a racket. The sound is too loud and it hurts his ears. When the sound is loud and annoying and doesn't sound good, it's a racket. This picture is of a concert. These older boys and girls are playing in a band. They're playing instruments. When people play musical instruments together, it's called a concert. Like a sick moose. That is a phrase that you're going to see in today's story. So if this moose got sick and it started moaning and groaning, do you think it's going to be loud or soft? Yeah, it's going to be loud. And do you think it's going to sound good or not? I think it's probably not going to sound the best. So like a moose might not sound too pretty. Like a flock of geese. Same thing here. Have you ever had geese fly above your head and they're squawking and making all kinds of noise and they it's like they're talking to each other, but they're all talking at the same time. It's just really loud and doesn't sound very good. So like a flock of geese, that's what we mean. It's loud and it might not sound the best. So this little girl here, she's high-fiving her teacher, and it says knocking it out of the park. This little girl has just done something awesome. When you say knocking it out of the park, you mean someone has done something awesome. You know, when you're playing baseball and you hit a home run, that means you've literally knocked the ball out of the ballpark and you've scored a home run for your team. You scored points for your team. You knocked it out of the park. You did an awesome job. Let's start reading. The band. Grace and Jill are in a band. Grace toots on her trumpet. Jill toots on her slide trombone. When the children started out, they did not sound too good. Jill and her trombone sounded like a sick moose. Grace and her trumpet sounded like a flock of geese. The two of them made quite a racket. It was so bad that Mr. Spencer, their dad, would yell, "I can't take it." Then he would run out of the house and hide in the barn. But since then, the children have gotten a lot better, just as Mr. Vance said they would. Mr. Vance is a bandmaster. He spends a lot of the time with the children, helping them get better. So look at the picture. Who do you think this is? It's Mr. Vance. He is teaching the boys and girls in band. That's Grace, and that is Jill. In the spring, there is a band concert in the park. Mr. Vance gets up on the bandstand and waves his hands. The band starts belting out a jazz song. They sound good. Grace hits the notes on her trumpet. Jill's trombone sounds good too. The drummer is drumming up a storm. The band is knocking it out of the park. Mr. Vance has a big smile on his face. He is proud of Grace and Jill. Mr. Spencer smiles too. He has gotten tired of spending so much time in the barn. Boys and girls, look at this picture. Does this look familiar? What did we learn about on Monday? We learned about the American flag. Yes, that's the American flag right there. And these are some decorations using the colors and some of the symbols from the American flag as well. Look, this little girl is holding two American flags. What instruments do Grace and Jill play? Oh, boys and girls, I want you to pause the video here after I'm done asking you the questions. And I would like you to speak to a family member and answer these questions. So number 1, what instruments do Grace and Jill play? Number 2, how did the children sound when they first started playing? Number 3, how did Grace and Jill get better? Number 4, why was Mr. Spencer spending so much time in the barn? All right, boys and girls, so we want you to come back Thursday. If it is Thursday, you are in the right spot. So on a blank piece of paper, you are going to expand the sentences below just like we practiced yesterday. So remember to use prepositions and adjectives to make your sentences longer, and use those 5W questions: what, where, when, why, who. So the dogs dig. That's your first sentence. Make it longer and more interesting. Max sings. That's your second sentence. Make it longer and more interesting. After you're done with that, on the back of your paper, come over here, look at these words in the box, and you are going to sort the words in the box by their spellings for the S sound. So here they spelled the S sound with C-E. Here they spelled the S sound with an S-E. Okay? So dance. If they've helped you out by making the letters in bold, the ones that they want you to look at. Dance. That's the S. The S sound is spelled with a C-E. Where do you think dance is going to go? In the C-E column or the S-E column? You're right, it's going to go in the CE column. And Miss Graham did this one for you already. She did the word rinse. Rinse is spelled with an S-E. So it's going to go over here in the S-E column. So go ahead and sort out the rest of these words. Once you are finished, boys and girls, please show your work to your family member or your parent. They will be so proud of all the work you've done. And then if you would like, please send us a picture of your work. We would love to see your amazing work. And we'd love to give you a special shout out and maybe show your work on one of our next videos. Awesome, boys and girls. So our skills goals this week were: I can read and sort words with tricky spellings for the S sound. I can use prepositions and adjectives to expand short sentences. And I could read with purpose and understanding and answer oral questions about key details in the text. All right, great work, boys and girls. Do not forget to send your fantastic work to your teachers. We can't wait to see it. And please come back Friday for a little review and some information on more practice for you all. All right, thank you.